All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm on the internet again, which is, the thing that happens now when anyone wants to talk to anybody. But I'm here with a band that I'm really excited to talk to because the new album that just came out, it's one of my favorite albums of the year already. I love it. I've been listening to it nonstop, and I'm really pumped to have you on the show again, for two of you at least, because I really dig the record. And so I think that the best way to start this off, because there's four of you here, is if you want to just introduce yourselves one by one and what instrument you play in the band, and then we can take it from there.
I'm Dylan. I play guitar on most of the tracks, and then I also play drums on Always, and maybe a few more new ones coming up.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm the lead vocalist of Vagina Witchcraft.
I'm Seppel. I play the lead bass.
Right on.
So good.
I'm Julian. I play drums on most of the songs and play bass on one of the songs on the record. And like Dylan was saying, we might have like even a new configuration for a new song.
Very cool. Very cool. I like the lead bass. I think that's how you should credit yourself on the next one. The lead bass player is pretty good. Yeah.
It's so good.
So yeah, I mean, the record just came out, and I was excited based on the one song that you'd released months ago, or last year even, Always, and I was really into that. And then, so I was excited about the album, and it came out, and it's better than I thought it was going to be, which is a big compliment, because I really dug that song. And this is I have been listening to it pretty much nonstop, and I have a lot of opinions about it and a lot of questions about it. But I guess first of all, when I last had two of you on the show, you were still relatively new. You had that one song that was available online, and then the idea of an album was something kind of for the future. So how did this record get put together?
Well, it was a pretty hard process, actually, because we were trying to self-produce it initially and doing it in like a track-by-track kind of way, but we found that really wasn't working to capture the vibe properly.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think when Dylan and Kayla did their first interview with you, I think they maybe even mentioned that the album was going to be coming out soon, and that was when we were riding this wave of we were planning a tour, and we wanted to get the album out, do it as quick as possible and go on tour. And then when that all got canceled, we kind of fell off that wave and kind of got into a thing of okay, we have a lot more time now. But that kind of turned into went a bit too far that way. But it went from we were originally going to try to get the album out before we went on tour in the spring, which I think was kind of probably
we were setting lofty goals for ourselves.
Yeah.
We didn't want to make it easy. We wanted to just do it and go for it. And I mean, it didn't always work out, but it brought us to where we are now, when we decided, hey, let's get some help on this. And we went to David Dobbs, who we did the UMFM live 360-degree video there.
I love you, David.
Yeah. He's awesome. Awesome guy. Yeah.
We just love the way that he made that sound. So we went to him and asked him if he wanted to work on the album with us, and he was really excited right from the get-go. And that sort of became the second wave of recording the album, So it was started and kind of faded out, went back, and then we're back in the studio, and we just wanted to make it have a really live feel. So we recorded everything together in one track live off the floor, save for the vocals on a couple of the songs. And we ended up feeling that captured the vibe Seppel was talking about better, our live sound.
Yeah.
Which is what we want to give to the audience in the CD, right?
Well, there's a lot of feeling behind everything that you can kind of tell that maybe, I don't know if it wouldn't have been there if you'd done everything kind of one by one. The kind of overpoweringness of it, which is, for the style of music you're playing, a really good thing, right? So.
Well, yeah, exactly. It kind of goes back to about not making it easy on ourselves. And it was really frustrating at times, and there are some dirty looks going around the studio here and there, but we all pushed through and made it work. And that sort of tribulations in the recording session kind of adds to that feel as well.
And even on the album, the way the tracks kind of all bleed into each other, and with the feedback, it kind of mirrors the way our live set would would go to.
Okay.
For the most part, I think.
For sure.
Yeah, we couldn't have even done it like the track by track way we were trying to do it before, because like there's so many like weird like tempo changes that just kind of flow naturally from when we play live.
Well, I think those are some of the best parts too. Like where in that second track, Mercury, where it suddenly speeds up. That's like the best part of that song. I think it just like
I love that.
Oh, thank you.
Hits another gear and it gets That's my favorite song on the album, by the way, too. I really like that. But just to kind of, I don't want to go track by track with it or anything, but I mean, right at the beginning, you have Kayla, you have your speech from the Justice for Black Lives rally, and I feel like that really kind of sets the tone emotionally for the whole thing. Had you always planned on using that for the record?
No, we didn't always, because like after, well, maybe I guess kind of
we
because
used to
like
open our set with it was just a random sample from a movie called Red State.
Yeah.
Okay.
Preacher going on this homophobic rant, and we used to start it with that, and so we always kind of had the idea that we wanted to have something like that. But when we heard the audio recorded from Kayla's speech, we were all just blown away. We were all there and blown away there, and just like the power of it was insane in person, and then on the recording it translated really well. So it just became we need to make this part of the album because it's part of Kayla's experience and our experience and everything that's going on right now. So
and like especially going to realize we could like kind of bleed like that into like the first track, like have us come in like
the way that it bleeds in is nice.
It's very effective for sure. What has the reaction been to having that at the beginning of the record? I mean, I assume most people who know the band are going to be familiar with the type of subject matter and politics and values and things that you have, but I imagine some people might not be prepared for that.
Honestly, it like depends on which comment section you look up.
It depends on which video, and it depends on who posted it, because like we've gotten a lot of positive responses regarding the speech, but most people who have negative things to say just listen to the speech and that's it. They're just completely so turned off by the fact that someone who is not cis and white and male is talking about Black rights and talking about equality and talking about the Black narrative and the Black experience.
It definitely exposes some of the sort of
your racism is showing.
I bet. Yeah.
It definitely does. And I think like in that regard, it kind of it's like we were talking about this before, like just like within Winnipeg, like the local scene, like it's been kind of like a sort of an insular thing with like the feedback, where I imagine there's probably people who don't like us, but within the local scene, like they kind of keep it to themselves, and within like the feedback we get locally is like positive, and then the negative feedback.
Forums in Russia who really
But it's like
seriously in Russia.
Yes.
It's like as soon as we're uploaded to like an international platform on YouTube, and it's like then we can finally see these people who are like behind a keyboard on the other side of the world, like wherever that
torrented us 50 times, but they definitely that's a part in the comments.
And I think that just like made us realize something we already knew, that like having the speech at the beginning is like it admittedly it's a brash like political statement right at the beginning of the record.
Weeds out the weak.
Exactly. which we're totally happy about, and like if someone can't get through that first song, then it's like then those probably aren't the people that we want behind us anyway, right?
Absolutely.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I think the funny thing is too, most of those people probably would love the music if they got past the speech too, right? Like
absolutely.
That's another thing. Like it's like those people, it's like they hear that speech, and then it's like anything after that, it's like their opinion. Like if they didn't hear that, like they might even like the music, but once they hear that, they can't get
past.
Which is like kind of a pretty disingenuous sort of thing. If it's like they actually they maybe do like the music, but it's like they pretend that they don't because they don't like the speech at the beginning. Like
I feel it's been mixed. It's been mixed reactions.
Yeah, because on that same platform, there's a lot of positive feedback too.
Well, I feel like it's safe to assume you probably don't need those people as your fans anyway, right? If they're not going to appreciate that, So So he weeds them out. So it's a good it's a good entry. Yeah. So on the same topic, as far as things that may be shocking or startling, the album cover is you're not holding anything back there either. And what has the reaction been to that? Because it's the type of thing that some social media platforms probably won't even let you post, right? So
yeah,
there has been a couple.
We can't post it on Facebook. I tried to post it on my own Facebook, and I was actually banned for 48 hours.
Really?
Yeah, for posting a picture of my own body on my own Facebook.
That's crazy.
Thanks, Zucky baby. But yeah, the album cover, it was a photo taken by an ex-partner of mine about 5 years ago, and it still stands as being the most powerful photo that's ever been taken of me, and I couldn't imagine any other picture being the cover of this album. I just honestly can't. Yeah. And I feel like it speaks volumes about the destigmatization of vaginas and of genitalia in general. It doesn't have to be vaginas, can be anything, whatever. It destigmatizes the naked body. It destigmatizes a lot of things, and also it was a very strengthening moment for me personally, just to have something so raw and bare exposed to everyone, everywhere.
And I think I think you've covered it at least another interview too, with CBC, like figuratively speaking, it kind of it there's a parallel to with our music, being naked and raw.
Yeah.
For sure. Some vulnerability.
Yeah, because we definitely weren't overproducing it and trying to make it sound like space noises or anything like that. This was just us with our instruments, turning it up loud and just going for it.
On the same, on what we were saying before about feedback on YouTube, I think there's been a couple a couple comments just relating to that. It's obviously a word that's thrown around a lot in music criticism, but raw, the rawness.
Yeah.
A lot of people have commented on how raw
especially with the vocals.
Yeah. Well, and I guess having the album cover and the intro, it's kind of like a 1-2 punch of to prepare you for what you're about to expect with the record, right? I mean, because I think that that cover, I don't know if it would work for, say, a folk act, for example. It might, but and that speech at the beginning is so powerful and heavy in its own way, right? That I think it really prepares you for what you're.
And I think too, the cover is very vulnerable and sort of gentle in a way. So the contrast of that with the music is kind of what we were going for. We weren't trying to do the stereotypical, metal decapitation and guts and everything, and trying to scare people, which I got nothing against that, but it's just we wanted to go with something to show a different side of this heavy music, right? So
the humanity of it kind of thing.
Which that's a good point. I think a lot of the metal music, it's whether I guess sometimes there's a sense of humor to it, but there's kind of a humanizing aspect of it where it's very fiction based and trying to scare people and that sort of thing.
And this is the complete opposite.
Trying to scare you with the truth.
Yeah. That's the scariest thing of all.
Well, obviously it scared a lot of people in Russia too, right? So
they're on their heels right now.
Yeah. So how is this? I have to ask everyone this because we're in the middle of the pandemic that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. How has this whole situation affected you as a band? I mean, you're all together in a room right now, which isn't necessarily a given for everyone to have on this show. And so have you been able to successfully rehearse and hang out and stuff, or has it been difficult?
Well, we've just started writing again. We're trying to get some sessions going for the next album. As far as how pandemic affected us, though, we were supposed to head out on tour the day lockdown happened.
Right.
Yeah, literally.
April 1st.
The main thing, and then obviously playing shows with releasing the album, it's promotion wise and also just for the energy and to upkeep the energy and playing shows. Basically that's the main.
Yeah,
the
so
main
we've
thing.
got a bunch of stuff and nowhere to go to play it, right?
And even mental health wise too. I never realized how playing shows so positively affected my mental health,
Yeah.
and how I just loved being on stage and loved that outlet and loved
therapeutic.
and loved talking about things that I care about and that the band cares about and that like I know our audience cares about. And there's something very cathartic and very human about being so vulnerable in front of people that you don't really know.
Sure.
And that is something that I truly miss very, very deeply. And that's something that I'm having a hard time adjusting to not being in my life right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just where we're going to take it next is always it's always a question mark, because every plan that we could make is dependent on the state of the entire world. So,
and like what you said about like payout or whatever, I think like in that regard, I think we have been, without playing shows, I think we've been doing fairly good just with sales and orders from Bandcamp. Like with not playing shows, it does feel good to have that platform to help us in that regard.
For sure.
Because you're taking a risk releasing a record when there's no possibility to play shows, right? I mean, a lot of people I think are maybe holding on to it, or I don't know. I mean, was that ever an option? Did you ever consider waiting until this was over, or did you just want to get it out and unveil it into the world?
We all started getting a little bit stir crazy, I think.
Yeah.
And it had
I'm
been
there
such
right
a
now.
long process to actually finish the album, let alone get it out. Once it was actually done, we were like, we have to put this out, or else we're just gonna be fucking going crazy about it.
Yeah. I would just listen to it every single day from my way to work, my way home, anytime I went anywhere, and I was like, fuck, I just want to put this the fuck out.
So I can stop listening
so I can stop listening to this over and over again. But so it's been really nice to have it out, and it's been nice to have such a great reception, and also a bad reception too. Like honestly, the comments used to affect me, and but now I've kind of gotten used to the fact that some people are just not going to like you and some people are. And it's just a very interesting process of seeing the things that people say.
And I think probably over 75% of negative comments, it's very easy to not actually take them as genuine music criticism, and they're just throwaway. It's just okay, I'm not going to say verbatim what any but just ones that are using slurs and things like that, where it's just this isn't actual genuine music criticism. So some
asshole with a keyboard.
It's you can just you can disregard them, and it's there might be for every one of those comments, or for every 10 of those comments, there might be one that actually is maybe not completely positive but might actually have something to take from it. But a lot of those negative comments, it's really best to not let them get to you, because they're not actually saying anything. They're just kind of hateful,
Truth.
Yeah.
Truth.
Does that I'm echoing like crazy all of a sudden. I was gonna ask something and then the echo came and I lost it. But I guess as far as the pandemic and being off here, I guess off of the ability to play shows, off of the ability to just even get out of the house in some cases, has that affected the way you're writing? Or some people have found this period to be super creative and they've been able to just churn out a ton of material, and others have had basically writer's block because they've been stuck at home and they can't express themselves the way they want to.
I've kind of been through both. I mean, at the beginning of it all, I had this really big creative spurt and I was feeling really good about it, and then it just kind of died off pretty much when I went back to work. So I started going back to work for a few shifts a week. And then just with that, the energy being drained from that, you come home, you don't have as much time to think and write and that. So I kind of fell off of it. And then Seppel was out of town for a while, so we weren't able to have full band rehearsals for that reason either. So it kind of went up and down. For me anyway. I'm sort of in a creative phase now, starting to get back into it.
I've been writing quite frequently, actually. In the beginning, I kind of was going through a pretty big rut. I had a very hard time mentally just kind of staying focused and writing about things. I was finding that everything that I was turning out was just like not something that I was proud of, or not something that I would want anyone to really hear.
Right.
So I got a new job, been really, really happy there, and just kind of trying to find my way. And since doing that, so the last like 2 months or so, the writing's been kind of just spurting out. It's been great.
That's cool. Yeah. How do these songs feel? I mean, like you said, you were listening to them over and over and over again before the record coming out. Are you still listening to them now, or have you stopped?
I listen to them sometimes. A little bit.
Yeah.
Something here and there.
Yeah, I think like Sepple was away for work for a little bit up north, and when he got back, we kind of like we got together and had a little bit of a celebratory. Like we kind of listened to our old demos compared to like the new stuff, and like it is, you know, I think it's just it's bound to happen. It's like we all get together in a room. It's like we want to kind of listen to it again, and it's like
at this point I'm kind of at the phase of like, if you love something, let it go. You know, like I have to listen to it so many times, trying to pick it apart for levels, and this little part could have been here, and at this point I've sort of taken a break from it, and I'll let some other people listen to it for a while.
And sorry, like just like about the pandemic thing, like the previous question, I think just one thing to point out about like the pandemic, it's like for all the free time, if you're out of work for like all this time you have to work on art, like if like you're a creative person and like as a musician or artist or whatever, it's like for all that time you have, it's like there's kind of a thing going on where if you're not going to shows and you're not going out as much, you also don't have as much inspiration.
Sure.
So like you have all this time to like work on your art and the
pressure to create, because
and
you're like, I have all this time.
Exactly.
I should
it's like
be
this
able
is
to
all
do
the
it.
time you should be working on your stuff, but it's like when you're not going out to shows and like seeing people and everything like that kind of helps fuel creating that like with inspiration. So I think it's kind of like it's a weird balance. They're like trying to use that time the best you can to make your art, but then also like kind of being in a rut and like not having that inspiration. But I think when we do all get together in a room, like when we can and we're all on like feeling good, I think
magic.
Yeah, I think we definitely all have it in us to like now that we've got the album out to like start like we've got stuff we're working on, and
nice.
Give them the old razzle dazzle.
So, now that you've, the record's out finally, and you can allow other people to listen to it, now that you're, you can kind of push it aside, those songs, do they feel old to you at this point? Like, do you feel like now you have all these new ideas you want to instantly jump and do, or is that still kind of the sound that you are comfortable living in? And the reason I ask before you answered is because once this eventually ends, this pandemic, you're going to be playing shows again, and everyone's going to want to hear the songs on the record that came out when there was no shows. And so like, do you have any concerns that maybe you will have moved on beyond that, or
I still like the songs. I still love playing all of them.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's a good question. I think we all really love the songs, but I do think like they are starting to get old, not in the sense like we don't like them and like they're starting to feel old, but it's just like we have stuff we have new stuff we're working on, and like
we're trying to push
we want to
challenge ourselves too with it.
We want to be excited about that stuff, and but yeah, that's an interesting thing that you point out, that like when we start playing shows, like we're going to want to play the album, but I think like we'll have a cycle of new songs that we can start interspersing, peppering them.
Yeah,
cool.
Make it a little more interesting.
I think ideally we'd probably just have a longer set.
Yeah.
That works too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, like the album's only like 35 minutes long without the speech.
Right.
True.
So we could do like an hour-long set if we're ever headlining or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
One day.
Fill it up a little more.
One day.
Well, you had a lot of big shows even when you first started out, right? So it's not unreasonable that you could be headlining. Maybe a better question is, because that wasn't a question, but what do you think is going to happen once things get back to some semblance of normal? I have this hope, this fantasy dream that because everyone's sort of at the same point right now and no one can play any shows, I hope that the underground bands will be able to kind of like take over and maybe like get a leg up, because
I've had that dream.
Yeah.
do you think it's gonna happen though? Or are we just doomed for like the shitty, you know, corporate stuff to just come back to where it was?
I think we gotta
We have to.
I'm pretty sure, like, as soon as we get the go-ahead that everything's okay, we're gonna, like, tour immediately.
Absolutely.
Well, and even when we did play that one show at the Park Theater, we played the one socially distanced show.
Yeah.
With trampoline and window talk.
Mm-hmm.
And that show, they had to turn people away. Like people had
they
sold
sold
out the
out.
tickets. Obviously, it was reduced capacity.
Yeah.
But that just shows that people are interested and people are craving this. I know we all are. I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
And I think the people who really love the music are going to be out there at the local shows and supporting
For sure.
supporting music in these times.
How was
Whenever
the
it's safe to do so, you know.
How was the socially distanced show for you? Because I went to one show there. It was the first one they did at the park when they first reopened. It was Scott Nolan, which is, I mean, you're sitting down watching that show. It's great because it's definitely made for that kind of vibe. But you're a very different vibe. How was it?
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean,
it
Seppa
was
wasn't
interesting.
there for that one, so it was a little bit different as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had Ashley Ow playing bass.
Ow! Ow!
Yeah.
Uh,
Shout out. Nancy.
But yeah, everyone sitting down was a little different, and Kayla likes to go out usually right into the crowd and in people's faces, so there was none of that.
Mhm.
But I remember during the final song, there was people at the tables and they all had their fists raised up with Kayla
Yeah.
during the
that's
end of the song, and
Nice.
there was still some really good moments of togetherness. And also it was sort of earlier on in the sort of pandemic time, so it's sort of everything going on outside the venue. It's still like people were socially distancing, but it felt almost like normal for a little bit.
Mhm.
Mhm.
For a
But,
brief moment.
Yeah.
Time.
And then it just
But-
got worse.
Yeah.
Way
And
worse.
then everything went to shit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, you know, obviously no one knows when shows are going to happen again. But if someone is hearing this and is hearing about you for the first time, hopefully not, but if they are, how do they find your music? Because I mean, the album's out now. It's out in the world. What's the best option for someone to give it a listen?
Well, you can listen to us on basically any streaming service. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes Music, we're on Apple, we're on Google Play, we're on
Napster?
Amazon, Napster.
Napster.
Seriously?
apparently.
Napster?
Yeah,
Hey,
Napster, they got us.
hook
It still
it up.
exists?
They still exist. I think they do like a streaming
Yeah.
thing.
Wow.
They legitimized, I guess.
And yeah, apparently a bunch of sites in Russia have also offered our album to be torrented. So if you want to do that,
Just
there you go.
Yeah.
We have
or buy.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
we have shit on YouTube as well. If you wanted to actually go and purchase stuff, we have stuff on our Bandcamp. So that's at vaginawitchcraft.bandcamp.com.
Cool.
And then you can also
Shirts.
search. We also have merch and merch packages available on Bandcamp, as well on our Facebook, which is, you can just search Vagina Witchcraft on Facebook, and Instagram is at Vagina Witchcraft Band.
Cool. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere. Find-
Well, just to touch on the merch for a second, how does it feel knowing that album cover is on so many people's shirts right now?
Feels good, Sam! Feels good!
Nice. Awesome. Did you,
No, it feels good. It's a very empowering thing,
sure.
and I'm really stoked about it. I'm sure that a lot of people are probably a little weirded out by it, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's very empowering.
It's art.
It's fucking cool. I'm down with it, and I hope other people are too.
Awesome. Okay, I think that is a good place to stop.